why are we creating a YouTube channel? And did we stick with the name? Philosophizing? Maybe Philosophizing.
Tentatively. Until something better arises. But I can't think of anything better right now.
Philosophizing.
Yeah. So I think ultimately in the future, as we go into the AI revolution and all of the other things that seem to be happening, that there probably won't be jobs. This is the first reason. There probably won't be jobs. And I think the only thing that's going to be of value primarily that all of us have access to isn't labor, but it's going to be personality or wise people.
Some form of entertainment that people just log into.
Some form of entertainment. Yeah, some of it's going to be just entertainment. And then a lot of it, and probably what more on the lines of being would be kind of like discussing, like you had Plato and his whole crew philosophizing back in the day.
Philosophizing. Oh man, see?
Which is it?
Philosophizing. Philosophizing.
Philosophizing.
And once in a while you want to look at your camera. You want to make eye contact. Just like that. Okay, no.
Oh. You can put that in too.
Absolutely.
So I think that there's going to be a lot of time to discuss life, discuss meaning and things along those lines, and also what's happening. So in the long run, I think that's going to be of value. Someone that you can believe their opinion also, like that someone that's trustworthy and you feel or at least you think that they're not going to lie to you. That's what we're looking for. That's what everyone's looking for today when you're watching Joe Rogan, you're watching...
And that's a good point. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we talk about that anybody can go online and research. And you're going to find 1,000 articles that are going to back up most of the points that we talk about on this.
Yeah. So, you're going to have to figure out this whole eye placement.
So I look at you and I look at the camera that's looking at me and I just look at you. It's the only place you're looking at.
I feel like I'm actually on a podcast.
No, so here's the thing, man. Like every single time I watch a movie, I watch a podcast, or I watch anything that's on TV, I always think to myself, like, why did the director tell them to do that?
Yeah.
And like every single thing I watch, I break it down to like, okay, why did the director give them the direction to do this or to do that?
Yeah.
And I pay really close attention to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like same thing with the podcast. I'll watch the podcast, and I see that like the conversations between two. Yeah. Once in a while, they talk to people, but it's these two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that just comes from. Actually, it might not ever come. Because if you like watch Eric Weinstein and things like that, like I'm awkward. I feel like I have an awkwardness like him. Probably comes from a little bit of autism on the spectrum.
Just a little.
Yeah. Well. And
not too much.
So you never know where to look anyway. So just looking at a person is a weird thing. So to like keep that in mind to look, it's like if you watch people like him, they don't look at the camera.
You're right.
Look at the camera. Even Elon Musk, like you watch him talk, he's so awkward and everything.
Yeah.
Because he's, I don't know, because. Well,
smart dude.
Yeah, he's got Asperger's, so he has the same thing. It's a social cue thing that's hard to do. So anyway, I think there's going to be people are looking for a source of truth also as we go into this AI age where there's everything is fake. Like everything is going to be fake. Propaganda is already out of control right now, and it's just going to get worse, and especially with AI generation. So literally, you're not going to be able to know what is or isn't real.
I saw that clip. I think it was Microsoft's AI that it's a picture of somebody, and they can make that person say and do it just from a picture, and then like this is where I'll edit and I'll show some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible because like it catches. I mean, you can still tell it's fake.
Yeah.
Like, there's moments where the eyes will kind of just look away in an unnatural way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like unless you know what to look for, it's pretty good.
Well, there's an uncanny valley. That's what we always said in video games. Like it almost is there, so it's almost there, but
it'll get there. That's as worse as it's going to be. That's literally the worst it's ever going to be.
And it's
really good.
That's the crazy part with people that say, with like Tesla full self driving or the deep fake generations or video generation like
It's
Sora.
inevitable.
Yeah, but like they see what it is now and they're like, oh well, we won't have that for 100 years. Like, how do you believe the step from what you see now takes 100 years?
40 years ago, we had Palm.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was 40 years ago, and now we have what's that one? It has like the water. I sent it to you. The water to the beaches. It's not. It's
Sora?
Unreal Engine 5.
Oh yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I'll show some of those videos, right, as we're talking about, like, 40 years.
Yeah.
This is going to, like, it's the next 10 years going to make the next 40 years look like nothing.
Well, it's even, especially when lately I've been very deep in that whole thing, like watching tons of information and reading tons of information every day. And so, like, I'm not an AI engineer, but I'm on that cusp of knowing what they are doing and understanding a lot of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is a long ways from where I saw something that only 35% of the world's population has used a chatbot up until this time. So, like 35%, so 65% of people in the world don't even know like the base part of you can talk to an AI and it will talk back. So of course they don't understand that, like right now cars are driving themselves on the road, and right now different companies are almost able to replicate what Hollywood does.
But see, I think it's easier for us because we have a tech background. We understand computers.
Yeah.
We understand current computers are ones and zeros. Like we can break it down in our minds.
Yeah.
Where we understand data points and what the significance and the importance of all those data points means for a large language model, right? That can take all of that and make it into something real, like make it into like the cars driving themselves now.
Mm-hmm.
So we understand that background. A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, there's some other things that other people understand that I don't, but like a lot of people don't understand the background, like the technical side of it, I guess.
So, what do you think? What do you think the reason is that people not only don't try to find knowledge or be in the know, but also don't want to be in the know? Like, don't try to find the knowledge, and sometimes actively, when showed proof, will say, no, that's not going to happen. Like, there's no way that you're going to be able to drive, the car's going to drive itself.
Different people have different passions.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't care about sports at all. Like, I could care less. Like, I'll watch something and I'll go out with people and cheer for a team. And I know the rules and I know all about it. I played sports, right? Yeah. But, like, I have no emotional ties to it whatsoever. Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Either. But, like, so my passion is learning. Mm-hmm. I like to learn. Like, I like to learn about really weird stuff, right? Like quantum physics and alien stuff and like just like off the wall stuff because I just like to soak all that up. Mm-hmm. While other people's passions is like football. Yeah. And they're going to take their time doing that. I'm going to take my time doing this.
But do you think it's yes, what you're saying I 100% agree with. Do you think, in a deeper level though, what is it that people kind of are asleep about things? Like, even I would say myself was asleep a lot on a lot of things. So why is it that things?
Oh, the alien stuff? Like,
well, yeah. So the alien stuff.
We should tell that story sometime.
So, but what's the alien stuff, or the way AI stuff, or any of those?
I still say it's programming. I still say the human brain, the human mind, consciousness is nothing but a series of programs. There's even been studies out there that say that like free will is not even a real thing. Mm-hmm. That because of everything that's happened in your life, every single second, every single moment, it's almost predictable what your actions are going to be in the next 3 weeks if certain things happen because of this programming. Yeah, people have different programming. Yeah, so like it's like a software program, right? Like you can't have Microsoft Word create a really good spreadsheet, right? It doesn't want to program.
So I would say, for you described lack of free will, and I would say there's the other side that's maybe true, that free will is the only thing that actually exists and nothing else is real. Right. That free will and consciousness are the thing that makes the universe, as opposed to is controlled by the universe.
Free will and consciousness. So define consciousness than define free will in those two scenarios.
Well, that's a long that's a long road for things, but in my opinion, what would describe consciousness is the ability to make a random choice or a probabilistic choice rather than a deterministic choice. What you described, lack of free will, and automatons would be deterministic. Like they can never do anything different because this is always what they were going to do. Probabilistic is that you can see probabilities somewhat in your mind. We do that all the time when we make choices. Like, am I going to go out that? What happens if I go out that door?
Yeah.
Am I going to be safe? The probability is I'll mostly be safe, but we can make the choice not to go out the door. So a computer, if you just said do the thing that's right, like you don't want errors in computing. That's like logical circuits, zeros or ones and binary.
Yeah.
So you can't have making the wrong choice as an option. So I think probably, if this is going into all the deeper things of simulation theory and everything else, but I think that if we are a simulation, the thing about us that comes from outside of the simulation is the consciousness and the ability to make a choice. And by making those choices, that's how the simulation is controlled based on the things that we're doing.
That's what collapses the waves into the particle.
Well, we can. Well, that's it. So that's if you look at wave function collapse and the quantum mechanics, then we are the things. That's why
double slit experiment.
Yeah. So that's why I was very on the side of many worlds theory versus Copenhagen interpretation. Copenhagen interpretation essentially says, for the conversation that we're having, that when we look at something, then it collapses into a finite state instead of all of the probabilities. So that literally is what I'm talking about, that it's our consciousness and we look at it and it collapses into that state, or we have perception of it or whatever. And
so I explained it to Allie, right? Allie's my wife. We were talking about this today or a couple of days ago at the simulation theory, and the whole double slit experiment kind of almost proves the simulation theory in the way where, like, you ever play that game, Sasquatch game on iOS, Sneaky Sasquatch, and it's just a Sasquatch running through the forest, and the only thing that is real at the time is what the Sasquatch can see on the screen, because everything else has not been on its field of vision, so it hasn't collapsed into a reality. So that's the way I explain it to her. Like, quantum physics has proved that this is real now in our third dimensional space, that with the double slit experiment, right? Like, the reality collapses upon itself as soon as there's an observer, which means, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about this, by observing, you are physically interacting with it, because you have to have some kind of photons observing it and bouncing back to you. So that interaction itself could be the thing that collapses the wave into a particle.
100%. Yeah. So and there is ideas around the interactions of photons are what creates the universe. That's a lot of tied into holographic principle and things, which I'm not super familiar with, but so
you will learn it.
You
will learn it.
So the cool thing about that is what I was saying about the many worlds interpretation versus Copenhagen. I always thought Copenhagen seemed stupid, because what's so special about us, what's so special about humans, that like just our observation of something would affect its reality, right? That seems
But it's
dumb.
not just humans. I think it's a consciousness.
It's not. Observation doesn't mean a human consciousness, but for this discussion, we are the thing that's measuring something by looking at it. So we're the thing collapsing the wave function.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense that we would be special, like that we could do that, even if there's other things that could do it, that we could do it, right? So that's why I said, it has to be many worlds, that all of the things happen and you experience all of them. But now, if you believe in simulation theory, it wouldn't make any sense to have many worlds. Everything is always many worlds, and it gets rendered on the fly. Those many worlds collapse down into one universe. Yeah. Or at least a local universe for the observer, for the humans. And so the thing that makes us, and you could even say, like, you have consciousness and you're talking spiritually, but if you could look at it mathematically or programmatically, that consciousness is just an AI running. so the AI can make the decisions and has this ability to see the probabilities and make bad decisions and things like that.
But
And
we're data point collectors from like grander AI.
100%.
Yep. And we'll get into that because that's a whole Anunnaki conversation. But it's cool.
Yeah. So one of the real problems is when you're looking for truth seekers, and we're going to need truth seekers, is that at the same time all of this fake generation and propaganda stuff has started coming out, you're getting more and more leaks that seem like the government and the world leadership as a whole has been lying to us. Like there's so many things that, like,
you know what makes me sad too?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a ton of like UFO videos, like way more than I've ever seen, and they're coming clear and clear.
Like
and
every day,
clear.
high def.
Yeah, like people are just catching them everywhere now, so it's hard to tell. Are they AI? Are they not AI? Like it's hard to tell, and it sucks because I look at it and I want to send them to you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. Like, did you hear about that sphere they found in Australia?
Yeah, but see, that doesn't surprise me because there's a whole story of spheres.
No, so like I googled sphere in Australia, right?
Yeah.
I found one webpage that talked about it, the one that was recent. There was a New York Times article, which you had to pay for, to read the article, that it happened back in like 1902 in Australia.
Oh, really?
Same sphere, like in okay, I'll make sure like what we're talking about this, I'll put it on.
Yeah.
But I'll find it again and I'll clip it and show
Well,
it.
there's a big story. They had a Hawaii Files about it. If you don't watch that YouTube, it's such a
Y-Files?
Yeah, the
it's
Y-Files.
funny. I like it. It's
yeah.
good.
So
Plug for the Y-Files.
it was about a sphere like that this family had that they found on their ranch, and like all this stuff happened, and it would move on its own. There's videos of it just going around the house, moving on its own. There's no noise coming from it. Like, so they tried to X-ray it, and it's like it's like a small ball inside another ball, but no one knows what this thing is. And then it's a whole story, and it culminates in that they have the government get involved, and the government takes it from this place that they weren't supposed to take it, like a convention or something, and then to study it for real quick, and they don't give it back for like.
Of course,
they don't give it back for 2 months, and when they give it back, the ball doesn't do anything. It just
it's just aluminum foil. Here you go.
It's a weather balloon.
Well, there you go. That's not my ball.
Yeah, but I mean, it's crazy. And then like clearly you hear all of everything's orbs. Like one of the big aliens they're seeing is orbs flying around.
Did you see the two wheels ones that I sent you?
Mm.
So you didn't see the one with two wheels?
No, I don't think so.
It had one. It looked like a ring, like this, and the other one going like that.
Oh yeah, I think.
Again, is it AI? Is it real? Let's show it on the video here, but like you decide. I don't know.
I told my wife this too. Like, if the government has been covering up stuff, it's the easiest it's ever been for them to cover it up because there's so much stuff coming out that
so much stuff.
You either have to believe believe all of it or you believe none of it. If you try to believe in the middle, like where's the middle? How much do I believe and how much don't I? This Jason Sands guy, have you been listening to him? So he's a new whistleblower and he blew up Twitter. He came.
What's his background?
Well, I haven't followed 100% in it, but from what I understand, like some security force outside of Area 51, and was part of some forum that apparently was like the UFO bigwigs talking to, like, I don't know, get jobs or something like that. I don't know what it was, but anyway, his story is that while he was on the security detail, he ran into and had a telepathic conversation with an alien that had escaped from Area 51 and was wearing a full Area 51 like coveralls. And
the jammies,
yeah, and the
Area 51 and onesie pajamas.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. So, and then they like captured it and took it back in, and then that's the last he heard of it. So I don't know. So then I'm like, and. You know, one of the people.
There's so many good alien stories. So, like, if you guys haven't seen Moment of Contact, the alien story that happened in Brazil, like in 96, 97.
Yeah, James Fox.
Right, where one of the military, the MPs down there, died a few weeks after supposedly he grabbed the alien body that was running around in the middle of the day, threw it in the back of the Jeep, and he had some kind of weird skin disease that he's never, like, no one knew what it was.
Yeah.
Died like 3 weeks later. These are all medical records that are there. Like, Moment of Contact. It's a great documentary, but like
Yeah.
that's one of those stories where you can't get a whole town to lie. Like there's no way
Yeah.
this town that's the size of Boulder, Colorado, lied. You know, like everybody was in the same line. Like everybody saw it that
Yeah.
was in that area, or knew somebody that saw it. And the guy that did the documentary, he just went down there. He didn't believe it, and so he just started walking around the city, just asked random people just on the street, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the aliens. Oh yeah, we know about the aliens." The moment of contact, great documentary.
Well, so Jason Sands, he's a whistleblower, but apparently his big debut is going to be in James Fox's
Nice,
new thing. So it's the
very
same
cool.
new documentary. So then I trust James. It goes back to the trust. Like I trust James Fox. Oh,
Yeah.
like it seems like he's legitimate and like searching for the truth, and then he believes Jason Sands is legitimate and searching for the truth. And then Jason Sands says, "I saw an alien and had telepathic things," and then okay. But then there's more of his story that then you're like, well, what is going on? Like, apparently he all of a sudden, or maybe not all of a sudden, but has memory regressions and remembers now that he was part of 20 and Back. Have you heard this whole
No,
where?
but just to kind of plug this for like future episodes, what we think is aliens is us from the future. We're like thousands of years in the future, right? Is that what we came up with or no?
If I was to assign probabilities of all possible options,
Absolutely.
that seems pretty.
That seems like the most,
Yes.
because we end up incorporating ourselves into the tech, into AI, and yeah, we'll get into it. But that's what we've, out of all the pieces of information that we've gotten to like talk about.
Yeah.
It's us from the future, and it's coming to the past, because by then we'll figure out time travel, because we'll figure out how to manipulate gravity, which we'll talk about that at some point,
Mm-hmm.
on how that nature of space-time, fourth dimension, allows you to travel through space really fast, but at the same time can possibly do time travel.
Yeah.
So we'll get
Well, if
into
you
that.
can bend space, you can bend time.
Exactly. Because space and time are intertwined.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look into Jack Sarfati for that. Jack Sarfati's
Extra body.
whether he's right or wrong, he's the most entertaining physicist about it.
Fair enough.
Elon Musk is a schmuck. He's trying to blow up. Like, you're so smart. He's saying we're doing rockets. I'll get to Mars before you.
Or, totally forgot. What was it? Oh, the fact that gravity isn't by mass, it's by entangled particles. That's something new that was interesting. That
Yeah, that's
I had
ER
no
equals
idea.
CPR.
ER equals CPR. Yeah,
Leonard
that's
Susskind.
Stanford lecture. It's on YouTube. We'll put the link on it. It was really good.
You watched the
I
whole
watched the whole thing. It was really good.
Yeah.
And like, I've studied quantum physics just for fun.
Yeah.
And when he starts the lecture, we're like, you need to know the basics before we get into this conversation. I'm like, oh man, like, am I going to be able to keep up with that? Because like, that's the
but
first
the
like,
basics being understanding probability. And,
which the basics wasn't that hard. I was like, okay, I got this. But yeah, we'll put the link on the for that lecture. It was really, really good. Who was the professor again?
Leonard Susskind.
Leonard Susskind.
I think,
He was fantastic.
So, or as Jack Sarfati calls him, Lenny.
Lenny.
Wouldn't it be so cool to be in that group of friends where you have
That's
these
so
people
cool.
that are like, you don't understand the universe, let me tell you. Do you want a drink?
I know.
So, and they're old school boomer guys, the epitome of boomer, not negatively, like,
The best part, the best of them.
Yes.
You know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, why is boomer a negative thing? Like, all the things I see that boomers do, like, I'm Gen X, you're Gen X.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm that weird, they call it Zennial, which is the blend of Gen X and Millennial, because, like, I was born in 78,
Yeah.
and I think it's from, like, 78 to, like, 82. Those kids, that short range of kids, or that generation, was Gen X plus. We grew up with the internet. Like, I was like 12, 11, something like that, where AOL and all that.
Yeah.
So like I was able to learn it pretty quickly because I was little.
Yeah.
So it's called Zennials, I think. Okay, so the way I know Shane, years ago we worked at CompUSA together in Iowa. And then I moved here to Texas about 3 years ago. And on Facebook, I think either I reached out to you or you reached out to me, because we figured out that we both live in Texas within, like, 30 minutes of each other. So we started hanging out. And the first time we hung out, I just lay it out when I hang out with people. I'll talk about aliens. Like I don't care. Like either you're into it or you're not. But I'd rather talk about that than like the batting average of somebody. Like I don't care about that at all. So I started talking to him about aliens.
Yeah.
And I thought you were into it because you were kind of in the conversation, but I guess you weren't.
No, I didn't believe anything about it. Why? That seems the dumbest thing someone could believe in right now.
Right.
But yeah, it's very interesting. Like I'm open to hearing anything. So if you say I was into it, I was probably into it. But my belief was this dude is crazy on this topic, and just go along with it because, like, if it's the same thing that we've all said, like you said probably before you started looking at YouTube things or whatever, and more people are getting on that bandwagon because more and more stuff is coming out that it makes it hard not to get. You're not even on the bandwagon. You're like getting shoved onto the bandwagon.
I gotta tell everybody about the congressional hearing back in July. It was on C-SPAN, like legitimately in front of senators in Congress.
Yeah.
There's Commander Favor, David Grosh, the whistleblower that worked for the DoD, and Ryan Graves was the fighter pilot out of San Diego, I believe. Yeah. Very highly decorated military people, right? That worked for the Pentagon, that worked for the Department of Defense, in front of Congress and senators saying, yeah, there's aliens. We have like 4 different kinds of aliens, like 4 different bodies. Or anyway, I don't know the details. Like they have like 8 different ships. Some of them they found like hundreds of years ago, like excavating that looks like they've been buried underneath the earth, like thousands of years old. And the big shocker, which is I've been saying forever, is that they're not from another planet, but they're intradimensional, which means that they're here all the time. And this is in front of Congress. Like it was on the news. And no one cared. No one blinked an eye. So, like, to your point, like, it's becoming more real. And it's like, I don't get it. I don't get why people don't want to talk about it or why it's uncomfortable or I don't get it.
Well,
but what changed your mind? Because you again, you said you weren't, like, you thought I was nuts.
Oh,
so
well,
what changed your mind on it?
I think I was laying in bed looking for a documentary or something on Netflix or somewhere.
Was it a Bob Lazar one?
Yeah, it was the Bob Lazar. It was Jeremy Corbell's Bob Lazar one, and then both of them, both as the documenter and the attestee or the I don't know, the whistleblower.
You said
attestee. The one that is attesting to having seen things. Both of them seemed very legitimate. They didn't seem like their stories seemed not so fantastical that like it just seems like you're crazy, and yet they were grounded enough in like the science and stuff like that it seemed like why would someone make this up and then carry it for 20 years and 30 years and 40 years to make money, I guess, but it doesn't seem like any of those people are.
But he doesn't want to talk about it half the time. Like that's the thing with Bob Lazar. I mean, he lost his wife, he lost his job, like he lost everything. He never changed his story, and he doesn't like talking about it. Like he's only come out a few times, just because he's like, okay, it's starting to pick up wind again. But 30 plus years, dude never changed his story. So
then I started watching more and more of Corbell's stuff and paying attention to him, and he's a name I feel like there's a lot of stuff lately, like on UFO Twitter. Like Twitter is a thing. I just got into Twitter. On UFO Twitter, there's like 3-4 factions, and they're all saying the other person doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're liars. And then the crazy part is, like, I will trust this person on something they say, and trust this person on something they say, and then those two say each other is lying, and then you're like, okay, who do I believe? I don't know who to believe. Like, is it military tech, or is it angels and demons? Like, is it us from the future, or is it AI left by us from the past? Or, there's so many different things it can be.
And that's what we're kind of creating this channel for, right? We're going to talk about like spirituality, talk about aliens, AI, technology, autonomous vehicle, Tesla stuff, just everything that's been coming up, and like longevity, the fact that probably within 10 years, we're going to be able to be immortal. Within 25 years, we'll be able to like implement ourselves into machines fully, and our consciousness will be digitized, and you can be immortal that way. That's all coming. and it's inevitable because technology is going to just move so much faster. But that's what this channel is about.
Yeah.
That's kind of the topics that we'll bring up. We will try not to skip between all of them, but truly they're all connected. And that's one thing
And
that we
we'll
want to talk
probably do
about.
something like 1 or 2 topics per episode
yeah.
or something.
But we do want to talk about how they're all connected.
Yeah.
Like spirituality. Mostly the Eastern religions, but the Western religions were derived from Eastern religions, but we'll get into that too.
Yeah.
But like
Eastern, well, a lot of the religions were derived. I think Judaism and all that stuff would be Western.
Yeah.
Eastern would be more like, wouldn't that be like Taoism and Confucianism and
Buddhism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of them are.
They're all the same thing. They're all the same thing.
They're all the same.
And but how AI ties into that, how aliens tie into that, how our technology and what we're doing ties into that. So yeah, that's what we'll be talking about.
Yeah, and every episode I would hope gets better and less chintzy less cameras in the frame, better lighting.
Yeah.
This was just kind of spur of the moment to start. So I think the big thing is not only for our own volition, but to talk to people and respond
Absolutely.
to them and interact
Yes.
with other people that are like-minded.
Because we can't be the only ones talking about this stuff. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like him and I were talking about this. Like we can't be the only two people that when we go out to the bar to have a drink and listen to some karaoke, that are talking about this stuff. Because sometimes it feels like we are, but like it's a big world. There's got to be other people that are interested in this and have their own opinions, and we want to see if everybody's tied the dots together, like we've tied the dots together, and like all of it. And at some point, you're gonna see that picture. You know, that picture of Charlie with like up on the wall, and he's got all the strings and all that, like the big experience, like Charlie from Sunny in Philadelphia. Once we tie everything together, just like that, we'll try to have a big wall like that, just to look more crazy.
Yeah, I think I think also there's all of the stuff we talk about is relevant to everyone in the fact that, you know, regardless which part it is, things are going to start happening pretty big in the next couple of years that people don't have any clue are coming. And I think that's kind of something you and I have a good trait about, that I feel like I'm smart enough to understand higher level stuff, but not too smart that I can't understand like how I as a normal person live, right? I think if you get too smart, you're so in the weeds that like you don't know how to communicate, or you're not bounded by like reality, and then you're the crazy person living in the woods. Anyway,
Jeremiah Johnson. So the way we're going to do these episodes is we're going to probably pick 2 topics, and we'll start very high level. But then, as I guess, you know, if anybody else watches this and starts commenting, we can see what people want to kind of hear, dive a little bit deeper into, and go on those rabbit trails. Yeah. So we're doing this because we think AI is going to take all of our jobs, and we need to make money. So maybe this is a good way to make money. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Plus, it's just something fun to do. We talk about this stuff.
People gotta think so fucking. Oh, good. I can find out what my dad thinks about things. Sign me up. Where's the Patreon?
Like from South Park when Randy started OnlyFans. Best, like I think that was the pandemic special, or no, it was the one where they had that. It was about the Prime drink. It's on Paramount Plus, but it wasn't Prime. It was something Cred. Mm-hmm. Just a Cred episode when he starts an OnlyFans. That was such a good episode.
Did you ever see the Shane Gillis, like Gillian Keeves, with the dad doing OnlyFans? And then they're yelling at the kids like, "Daddy's trying to make money." He's just
so
sweating.
wrong. So wrong. So it's this society we live in.
So we're going to be talk politically stuff, right?
Sure.
Like that's a big part of what I'm going to do too, because it's like ties in with all of it. Like politically, like when you talk politics wise, why do we as a people allow for secrets from the government?
Allow what?
Like, so why do we as a people think it's okay for the government to have classified and top secret information that the public can't know? when the public
Because-
is the one that's paying for it.
Because if the public knows, then the quote unquote enemies know. And if the enemies know what we're working in top secret, it would be bad. Like that, I mean, really, that's the basic of it. Is they can't let it out because it's a defense thing.
Okay, so if that is the truth, then there's at some point there's a line between working on and have, right? Like we're working on flying saucers, or we have flying saucers. Like maybe we're trying to make better flying saucers, but we have flying saucers.
Yeah, but you gotta think this too, though. We can't be the only ones.
But my
You know
whole
what I'm
point is if the whole thing is because of national security and we can't let the enemies know, then you can't also say that we have nuclear weapons as a deterrent. If our whole thing is we want deterrence, then wouldn't you tell everyone what you have and say, hey, fuck with us and we'll teleport you to another universe? Would you like that? Like, wouldn't that be the ultimate deterrent?
Yeah, but then that goes into the whole. You can't just rip the Band-Aid and tell people, hey, like make it official that these things are real, which I don't know how more official they can make it after the congressional hearing. And
well,
I mean, literally, but if it's, I mean, as the government now speaks, they're a real thing.
I was talking even greater than that, but specifically with UAPs, like, why is there a conversation that there's black ops money that's, we don't know where the money is?
Obviously there is, though.
Yeah, but
you wonder why the American people are okay with that.
As American people, we allow so much shit just because. Like, why is it like that? Because. And no one takes the time to be like, there's no reason it has to be like that.
I saw a TikTok the other day where it was like some British person saying the U.S. The U.S. Revolution, they revolted against Britain on a 2% tax. Like I think, and I might be wrong. I'll Google this, or we can ask ChatGPT. It was like a 2% tax, and there, no taxation without representation. And now we're paying like damn near 40% tax, and nobody cares. And so our forefathers would be sad.
You can come up with legitimate reasons for all the things that a government would do things, but there's clearly points where even the best intentions go out of control. So you talk about top secret or classified. How many military secrets can we possibly have? I don't know what the number is, but I'm guessing there's probably millions of classified documents. Right,
and some of the ones that have been declassified are insane.
Well, and like, why do we not know what happened with Kennedy still?
Right, the Montauk Project, or
it's okay. It's
Kona Blue was the new one that got released.
Yeah, so that is like, so I trust George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, and they said on their last episode of Weaponized that Kona Blue. Yes, it was a project, but this was all information that was in his book from years ago called Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, and that Kona Blue never actually happened. It was a proposal there was OSAP, and then this was supposed to be an extension, basically, of OSAP, but it never happened and never got the funding. So, yeah, that's another question I have. Like, why, as a new generation, I guess, I don't know, but like, why is there stuff that we knew 10 years ago and 20 years ago and 50 years ago? Like, we knew as a public, like there was government testimony and whistleblowers and things like that, and then somehow it just gets buried back in, and it comes back up. Like, we've known all this stuff, so many things.
But
like, there was testimony in front of Congress, like in the 70s.
Look at it this way, though. Look at it this way. There's always people who have known. Yeah. Right? The only reason why it's a big deal to us, to me and you, is because you have your finger on that pulse. Yeah. Like, if I talk to my brother about this, like somebody at work, they have no idea. They don't even know that this is a thing. Yeah. Right? That the government they did, because that's not what they have their finger on that pulse. Like what I talked about earlier, like what's your passion, right? They're worried about the sports score, the politics or the presidential race, which is all important. I mean, right? It's all perspective, it's all points of views. So it's not like it's not important, but like this is what we're focusing on. So it's always been there. There's always been people like us. I guarantee you, the 80s and the 70s, like continuously, there's always been that small group of people. And now because of the internet.
Yeah.
Those small groups of people can tie with one another, have conversations online. Like it makes you're more aware.
Yes. I like definitely you're seeing more Twitter, everything else
Yeah.
on that. But I also wonder how, like, let's say we discovered a 10th planet, or I don't know. We discovered all of a sudden we had 20 planets.
Planet X.
Forget that. We
You've
have
heard
20
Planet X,
planets.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's Nibiru.
Yes.
So
dive into that.
let's say, is that your catch? Dive into that.
No.
Dive into that.
Focus.
Jesus. I need one too. And that's that.
Nah.
That was so
Oh, good
stupid. That's so stupid. No, let's say in 1980, it came out in testimony that we had 20 planets in the solar system. And then, like, I could understand if it's hundreds of years later and, like, you lose that information over time. Clearly that happens. But, like, 20 years later, 30 years later, how do we not know the things that were huge news? Like, it wasn't like they weren't news. Like, it was broadcast. People said it. Nap was on TV with Lazar and all of it. All of that stuff happened.
I think it's because
It was. Hold on a second. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was as mainstream then as it
Yeah.
is now. So what happened? How did it become unmainstream as kids in the 80s? So we weren't paying attention to it, but in the 90s we were adults. Why didn't we know? Oh, I ran into this article in the further investigation of
right the Brazil incident,
Yeah.
Form of Contact in Varginha, Brazil. I remember hearing about it in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I heard
Yeah.
that something. I remember like in 96, 97, I was a junior or senior in high school. I remember hearing about something happened in Brazil where like a UFO crash landed in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
In this town called Virginia, it's size of Boulder, Colorado. So it's a pretty good town, pretty good sized town. And I never really researched it because you're in high school. Like,
Yeah.
I had other things I was doing.
Or it was on Unsolved Mysteries, and you're like, that's interesting.
Right.
Oh, look at that girl. And then you forget, and then 30 years later, you're like, did you know there's aliens?
Dude, the aliens thing, that I've always believed in that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. But I didn't know what they were, and again, they're not.
I always believed that there was aliens, just not that there was any way that they could be here. Because even if you have the ability to warp space and time and everything else, you would really need, maybe because of the speed you travel, time doesn't matter, so you do have infinite time or something, but you would need infinite time to find this small little planet in this small little solar system around this small little sun in a small little galaxy.
In the middle of an explosion.
I mean, it's great, like, man, I wish I remembered what the video was, but there's a video on YouTube that showed like a 3D rendering zooming further and further out into the universe.
Yeah.
And, it's a thing you've seen, but this went all the way out to galaxies.
The Simpsons did it.
Huh?
The Simpsons did it.
Maybe. But, like, zoomed out to galactic level where galaxies are like this big,
Yeah.
it's like a foam of galaxies.
Yeah.
And in those galaxies is billions or trillions of stars, and it's insane. So how would an alien? Okay, yeah, there's aliens. Maybe it's even common, but that was my belief. So then that also ties me into the us from the future thing that we talked about, because I feel like the either we're a simulation, and that's my top two. That's my top two of what aliens are. We're a simulation, and the aliens are just like parts of the simulation or whatever.
They're another data collecting point.
Yeah, or it could be other players can come in as aliens and have better tech in the simulation, and then see the dummies that didn't pay for the upgraded.
See, I don't think it's
headset.
that kind of simulation.
Well, when I say simulation, it can be any kind of simulation, but the one that I most relate to, like simulation is simulation, regardless what it's for.
No, I know. Yeah, I get that.
My joke is that maybe we are in a simulation, and then like we're just some 14-year-olds in an arcade that, like, you put quarters
Roy.
in, you're just like, live a human life.
They gave him Roy.
Yeah,
Rick and Morty did it.
Yeah. So,
Great episode, Roy episode.
like, if we are a simulation, that's not out of bounds what it is. There's
the Rockefellers.
Well, there was something.
There's just like the 1%, like the real 1%.
Yeah.
And that goes back, and there's ties to this on the internet that they are direct descendants. Like there's a bloodline, right?
Yeah.
Like the 12-year-old girl who found out that all the presidents are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or all the presidents of the United States have one common ancestor, which is John Henry the First or something like that.
Oh yeah.
The guy that signed the Magna Carta, and all but 2 of the U.S. presidents are directly related to that royal bloodline.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, but then so I see things like that, and I'm like, but what I don't know is, like, if you took my bloodline, what's the chance I would be in that bloodline? That it's so far back that
500 years?
Huh?
500 years.
Well, I'm saying, what's the
500? Like you're talking.
How
about,
many
so
descendants?
People live 70, 80 years, like back in the day, not that long, but like you're talking maybe.
So you're saying
5 generations back?
So you're saying it's too short a time for it to be spread out like
Yeah,
that?
man. It's like 5 or 6 generations back.
Yeah, but
No, it'd be like 7 generations back. And you knew your grandparents. That's 3 generations back. That's almost like halfway there.
I wonder though.
That's almost halfway there.
You need to look into this. Is it true on the generations thing? Because yes, you live X time, but generations isn't how long someone lives. It's how quickly they reproduce.
The average.
And people were reproducing real fast. So you could go through 10 generations in 200 years. Because it's every 20 years, of 15 years really, of popping them out.
Good call.
So I don't know.
Anyway.
You should look it up. ChatGPT. Hold on. ChatGPT!
And as we grow these episodes and make the next one better than this one, we'll have a computer, we'll have something that we can stream on. Again, we're just doing this on the fly.
That was my catchphrase, though. You fucked up the catchphrase.
Sorry.
ChatGPT it! Hold on. Where do I? ChatGPT it!
Yes. ChatGPT.
Oh, shit. All right, well, I think that's probably it for me.
All right.
Anything else, we're going to start talking about the purple dragons.
You're so cool. All right. Well, peace out.